on this week's episode of Damsels in the DMs.
It was such a ridiculous, audacious thing to say to your own mother that I blacked out afterwards, really. And I have no idea. I don't really remember what we talked about afterwards, but I was just like, listen, Mom, like, I have never known what I wanted to do until now. Like, this is the first time, like, I know what I want to do.
This message is intended as a reminder that we are not licensed professionals, not psychiatrists or psychologists. If you have a serious problem, please seek professional help. The National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
There's some damsels in the DM.
Yes, queen.
Tell us what's the vibe. What's the vibe? There's some damsels in the DM. Please tell us what's the vibe. DMs, yeah we see them, yeah we read them. DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Damsels in the DMs. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Osh, and today we have my friend that I've known since 2018, which feels like a year ago, Anand Mahalingam, who is an actor, a comedian primarily, but he's also multifaceted. He is in all aspects of film. He does film directing. He also was writing. He's doing it all. Lately, he just was in How I Met Your Father, so he's really doing so well, and it's just so nice to see him rise. Like, I was there for one of his first comedy stand-ups that he did in 2018, and to see him from that to where he is now is such, like, it's so amazing. It's such a mind trip to, like, see this progression.
I feel like he's such a great come-up story, too, because, like, he doesn't finish when he goes to Pitt, which he'll get into. He decides that he's going to take this risk and go to this other school, the first school. And I think that that's such a really good antidote about taking life into your own hands and like drawing up your own path for yourself and making a switch when you know that you're not happy on the current path that you're on.
Yeah, and it also shows like you don't have to know what you're gonna be doing or what you're doing. You don't really need a concrete plan because you're never gonna stick with that. Life is gonna throw you shit and you're gonna be like, okay, this is how I'm gonna go this way, I'm gonna go that way. Like it's like go with the flow, you cross that bridge when you get to it, and he really showed that with his career path.
Totally. Yeah. We really needed a part 2 of this episode because there were so many questions that we had to get into. But one thing that we didn't get to ask him that I'm now going to ask you instead is what is the funniest, weirdest, most inspirational, or most intriguing DM that you've ever gotten?
Someone DM'd me saying thank you from all brown girls everywhere, which was really nice when I did my Sephora bit and I was like showing them. I did a TikTok actually of how my dad was like not supportive at first of my modeling career, and then during the pandemic, or that's when I made the video, but before that I did a Fenty thing and he was text me, he was like, how did the casting go, like are you like, you know, like da-da-da, like ask me things about it. And I was like, wow, this is really, really great to have him, like from fighting with him and having tears, like every time I talked to him on the phone I would cry because he just was not supportive, to that now. So I shared that on my TikTok. And I think it was either a comment on TikTok or a DM on TikTok saying thank you from brown girls everywhere.
Aww,
and that was really nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I really want to continue this momentum, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's is why I brought someone on like Anand to show brown girls and boys, like, or anyone who has grown up with parents like Indian parents. I know there's other cultures that are similar, that you don't have to be doctor, lawyer, engineer. You literally don't have to follow this career path that your parents want you to be on. You can drop out of college. You don't have to go. You don't want to go, don't go. You have other plans, go ahead, figure that out.
Right, follow what's right for you.
Yeah.
That
was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm so glad you came on.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the conversation with him. Let's do it. Okay, and then we can just keep rolling if you want into because we're going to do the outro and then we have to do the second intro. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, if it's easier for you, then great. Okay.
Well, hello, Anand. Welcome
Hello.
to Damsels in the DMs, the Come Up podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
So me and you go way back to 2018.
And then you came to my comedy show.
Yes.
The first ever comedy show that I had that 1 year.
Wow, the first ever?
Well, yeah, I used to run a comedy show in LA at like Milk Tavern in Koreatown. And so like for the first ever one that we had, I had to bring like so many people out. And so like the whole Brown crew showed up, and Ashi was like front row. Yeah.
I was so supportive. I laughed at every single one of his jokes a little too loud because no one else was laughing. So I think I was the only
so
person
many
in the
people were
audience.
laughing. I'm sure.
Anand and mine's relationship, I feel like from the first time that I met you, has always been like shitting on each
Very
other and like
antagonistic,
ripping
yeah.
each other's
The
lives.
I feel the
the-
same way about her. She's a bully, isn't she?
Yeah, but
Wait,
also I
it's
feel
a
like
two-way street.
there's like I have that with like a couple people where it's just like I don't know what it is, but antagonizing is how we show our love for each
Yeah.
other. And so like the way that I got asked to be on this podcast was like just like a not nice text message from Ash. And she's just like the way that she says my name is Mahalingam. That's my last name
No,
is
it's-
Mahalingam.
Yeah, but I call him Mahalingam because he's so funny.
Yeah, sure. That's why. And she's like, you have an Android, which yes, I do have an Android. I just hate seeing the green bubbles pop up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Texting
annoying.
you is like painful for me right now. Anyway, I saw you talk about your journey or whatever on TikTok, and it was surprisingly inspiring. Will you come do the podcast? Like, yes. Yes, I'll come do your dumb podcast. Actually.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
That
Now
was
you're
just-
indulging me.
Podcast.
Just meant for her. And then like texting her coming here, I was like, yeah, I found your big dumb green Jeep
I
It is a
no
big dumb
offense.
green Jeep.
It is a very
with
big
the
dumb.
Santa Monica like license plate thingy.
I'm
like,
thinks
holder.
she's
She
a
doesn't even
West
live
Sider.
there anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know
She's in
what?
Silver Lake.
This podcast is to roast you and not to roast me.
Yeah, so can you
Well,
can
this
we
was
hear-
fun.
Bye.
Can you tell us a little bit about this TikTok, the journey?
Yeah, sure. So I've lived in LA for close to 8 years now. I'm from Pittsburgh, and you're from Philly.
A fellow Pennsylvanian.
Fellow Pennsylvanian. I moved out here in 2015. I was born and brought up over there, and I didn't really know, for a lot of my life, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life, and I went and I was never really a good student or anything either. I think like growing up, I was athletic, but I was athletic when I was playing like football and stuff against other Indian kids, which is like not the cream of the crop, you know? So
Yeah, it's not saying much.
so then like I thought, hey, maybe I'll try out for sports, and then like that was a terrible idea. No, like my brother tried out for football, and I think he lasted like 2 weeks or something. And then I was just like, I didn't want to like deal with any of the kids on the football team and all that stuff. So like lanky Indian kid is not going to play football for your school. So I didn't really know school-wise. I wasn't really a good student, but I could always like make people laugh and like entertain people, I guess. So I was always like a class clown or class clown adjacent. I remember when I think it was like 10th or 11th grade, I realized how bad of a student I was because my math teacher, who I had had for like 2 years in a row, I was at lunch and he was like the teacher on lunch duty or something. And I was like joking around with some friends of mine in the lunch line. And he just like came up to me and he's like, very serious. We had a very joking, antagonizing relationship actually back then, which is weird for like him as like a 28-year-old to have with like a 14-year-old. But anyway.
He's like, hey, idiot.
But he was like, came up to me and he's like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but like your grades are like not good in whatever math class it was, algebra or whatever. It's like, they're not good. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he's like, no, like seriously, they're not good. Is everything okay? And I was like, what? No. And like to this day, I have no idea how that even happened, where like my grade got so bad in that class or whatever. But it was probably a precursor of things to come because, I went to college and I had, like, the first year of college, I had no idea what I was doing. I took every class I could. I took, one semester was, like, business calc, psychology, like, econ, like, all over the place. Like sports conditioning, like a gym class. Okay. I don't know. Why not? And so I would take, like, random-ass classes, and I'd get nothing from them. and to the point where I would just like stop going to class because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in there, so I might as well just like be out here and live a life, I guess. So I would just kind of like, when I was that first year in college, I was just kind of floating around from like friend to friend to be like, hey, are you out of class? Cool, let's like hang out. Where are you at? Are you in the library studying? Cool, I'll come by. And it's like it became like a question, an open question that my friends would ask. It's just like, does Anand go to class?
Does he even go here? Like, are you enrolled in school?
So, yeah, and then like I did that my first year, and then took a gap year after that because again, like your grades can't be that good if you're never in class, really, right? So took a gap year, went to India for a year, stayed with family in India. Went like I thought like if I had to do a real person job, it would be like something with economics or like finance or banking or whatever. And then you have to be like really, really good at math for any of that to happen. And I'm just not. So I went to India. I took this insurance, finance, and banking course in India because my mom was like, you can't just go to India, like run away. You have to take a class when you're there. And so I like found a school and I took this class, and I was the only kid from America in the class. It was like 15 to 18 kids. They're all Indian as hell. And like, I was like a toy for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like shiny, like new kid from America, from the States or whatever. So like there's one of my classmates just like took my notebook and like wrote a flirty letter to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and literally just like because I'm an American kid, but and then
It's cool
like,
to be American in India, I'm telling you that.
It's so cool. They love Americans so much over there, and it's like, yeah. But and then like they would like try and talk to me about like American pop culture and stuff like that, and like I just remember one guy coming up to me and like talking to me about like songs that he likes and stuff, and he's like, you know, my favorite is that Smack That by Akon. I'm like, please never say that again to me.
Don't ever say that ever again in life.
Yeah, no one else needs to hear that.
No.
Please let me be the last person to hear that ever.
Especially not white girls in their DMs.
Yes. So yeah, I was there, and it was like a super easy class, like, and there was, I don't know, and I would go back home. It was like an hour into town to take this class, and then an hour back, and then my aunt and uncle that I stayed with live in like a more remote, like rural part of India, so like spotty Wi-Fi, and like the road outside was like super bumpy and all that stuff. So yeah, like 9 months, 10 months out there in India, and then while I was there, I kind of discovered a little bit of like a love for performing a little bit, because like I had nothing to do to entertain myself. I was like by myself for like most of my time there. So put on Michael Jackson music videos and like taught myself like the moonwalk, and like taught myself like all the dance moves from all of his dances and stuff like that, and then went back.
Do you want to give us a demonstration?
Absolutely.
Yeah, please can
Yeah.
Nope. That was a long time
I
ago.
won't film it,
That
I
was a
promise.
long time ago. What do you mean you won't film it?
Do it behind the camera.
But then I went back to Pitt, came back to America, went back to Pitt, joined the dance team. So like that, like directly fed into that. Joined the dance team, which is where I finally found like something to do in college, which is so important. I think like so many people shit on joining dance teams or joining extracurricular activities in college, because especially Indians, because it's like study. But when you do that, like I learned so many valuable life skills from being on a dance team, like people skills and like how to approach practice and all that stuff. So I highly encourage people to do that. But I joined a dance team. I was there for 4 years. I was like captain once. And then like through that we did like we started our own dance competition. So I was like helped out with that. I was like one of the founding members of that. It was like a classical Indian dance competition too. So that was dope. And then I hosted so getting into that scene, and like that's when I started feeling like finally had friends to talk to that weren't like my friends from Pittsburgh that I grew up with. They're actually friends at Pitt. Like having that community really brought me out of my shell a little bit more. Like being able to perform on stage and stuff brought me out of my shell a little bit more. And then we would have these like cultural shows at Pitt where we would have like you know, all the teams would do a dance, and then like different groups would do a dance, and variety shows, talent shows kind of thing. And each one of these shows had like a host for it. And so I grew up watching, like my mom would let me like stay up until like 11, like until midnight. So basically, and like what she would do every night is she would watch The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And so I got to watch that with her every night. And like I could only watch till the monologue was over, really. And like unless they had like a really cool desk bit, like jaywalking or something like that, that my mom and I could both laugh about. But otherwise, I would just watch the monologue with her, and then like I would have to go to bed after the monologue. And so that was like a tremendous influence on me. And then like Saturday, and then like in high school, summer break, I'm not doing shit with my life. Like everybody's off doing like some extracurricular, some sport, some club, whatever, summer school or whatever, and I'm just sitting on my ass. Like I'm playing sports outside with my neighbors, and then coming inside and watching TV. And so I watched Saturday Night Live reruns on Comedy Central, and it was like the Will Ferrell years. So it was like the best time, and like Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, like that era, all the way up to Will Ferrell, Tina Fey. That era was on my TV like every afternoon.
Will Ferrell, that's why we added in this helmet in today.
Yes. Love you, Will. But that stuff really, and then the Oscars would roll around, and I would never really be interested in the movies. I never was allowed to go see the movies, I guess. Or also I was only watching Bollywood movies at the time, so I wasn't really interested in all that Hollywood jazz. But when the Oscars came around, I would only watch the host monologue. Like that's the only part I was interested in. So when these shows came around in college, I auditioned to be like the host of the show. And so and then like I got to do it because literally no one else wanted to do it. Like it's just a bunch of Indian people. So like not the greatest, like not the biggest fans of public speaking generally, you know. So I was the only one that was like gung-ho about it. And I wrote like a bunch of bits. I wrote my own material and stuff like that. And so I think there was like a 2-year period at Pitt where I hosted every like one of those shows.
Wow.
Like, and it's like 3 a year, but yeah, so that kind of like, I had that love of performing kind of thing. And then while I was working with that dance competition that we started, there was like, I was like helping out the PR and marketing department by making videos. So I like illegally torrented Adobe Premiere and downloaded it on my computer.
He's just
taught
confessing a
myself.
crime on this podcast.
Come and get me, Joe Biden.
Come get me.
But I think I downloaded After Effects, and I taught myself After Effects, and I've made all these videos. And then like through that, like I was on like YouTube looking up After Effects tutorials, and then on the side there would be like tutorials or like BTS of like actual movies, and then like explaining like what the editing process is like for actual movies. And then like I kind of like started in post with editing, and then started learning more and more about the movie making process backwards into like production, pre-production, writing, development, that kind of thing.
And then into an actor.
And then, but doing that, going backwards, then I realized, oh, this is what I want to do. Like that's when I found out. It was like junior year of college probably. And then I was on Facebook one day and I saw an ad for a film and TV like production school in Florida. And I signed up for it. And like I went and looked at it, and it was like a 9-month thing, 8 or 9 month thing. Cause I was like, I can't do like, I've already done 2 years of college, 2.5 years of college. I can't do another 4 years of like an undergrad program or something. So I found this thing that was like super short. I applied to it on the sly. Like I did not tell anybody I was applying to it. I asked my friend to write me, like I needed a letter of recommendation. So I just asked my friend who's younger than me and like still a current college student at that time to write me a letter of recommendation, which I still have. It was really nice that he did that. and he actually like put some thought into it, and was like, it was all about how I liked the Avengers more than I liked the Dark Knight or something. Like at the time, I don't know.
Oh, he really put effort into that.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, dude, you're making me learn things about me that I didn't even know. So then I applied to that school. I got in, obviously, because it's like a joke of a school. And then I didn't sign up for classes at Pitt for like missed every deadline to like sign up for classes. And then my mom kept asking me to do that. And she was like, did you sign up for classes yet? Did you sign up for classes yet? Just kept saying, nope, I'll get to it. And then like a couple of months go by, and then she comes downstairs, and it's like well past the deadline to sign up for classes or whatever. And she comes downstairs and she's like, hey, I just got an email from your school saying like, you've missed the deadline to sign up for classes and you haven't signed up for any classes yet. What's up with that? And I was like, okay, well, this is the moment. So I was like, right, yeah, about that. I am not going back to Pitt. And she was like, excuse me? What? And then it was like one of those like moments of like, can we talk in my office? She like told me to come up to her room, and like we talked about it.
Where were you? Were you in the living room and
Yeah,
there
I
were
was in the
people
living
around?
room. I was like, I don't know if other people were around. My brother might have been there, but I don't think so. So it might have just been me and her. And
She
so
was
I was just like
I need
watching
more
TV.
privacy than this space.
And you'd already taken a year off, so it's not
Yeah.
like you could just take more time off, right? They only let you take so much time off.
Yeah, I mean, you can be, if you still have to finish credits and whatnot, you can go back whenever you want. But I don't think my mom would have let me take another year off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I like basically, she was not happy, obviously. I don't really remember specifically what happened during that, because I'm pretty sure like I blacked out because just from like, I just felt like it was such a ridiculous, audacious thing to say to your own mother that I blacked out afterwards, really. And I have no idea. I don't really remember what we talked about afterwards, but I was just like, listen, Mom, like I have never known what I wanted to do until now. Like this is the first time like I know what I want to do. And like, I feel like the past couple years, and like I was good at making these videos that I was doing with this like competition and stuff. So like it wasn't like an totally unfounded thing for me to want to pursue it. It did come out of probably left field for her a little bit, but I was just like, listen, I found the school. I already got in. Like I already talked to them. Like I've figured out the like payment plan situation. Like I've talked to them about financial aid. Yeah, like I knew.
You did everything.
You had all the details right.
And like
well, because you can't go to an Indian parent and be like, I'm dropping out of college and I have no plan.
Yeah.
Did you know
then
that
you're
she was going to
toast.
be a dentist?
Yeah, I was going to become a dentist.
Yeah.
I was going to go to dental
Would you
school.
ever let her near your teeth?
Nowhere.
Honestly?
I
Look how
barely
nice
let her
my
near
teeth
my
are.
person, and then let alone my. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not
probably
kidding.
would've-
I would not let her near my teeth.
No, because I probably would. I shadowed a dentist. Side note: I shadowed a dentist every summer, and every time I would go to the dental office, I would gag. So like,
Maybe
someone's
it's not
loving
for
me.
me.
Open up, like, I'm sorry, I gotta hold on.
And like the patient's like, who is she? Yeah, she's shadowing me. She wants to do
She
this
just has
for
vertigo.
a
Like
career.
she's fine.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, clearly not fits for the professional working world.
Yeah.
So,
it's
but yeah,
okay.
I had it all planned out. Same thing when I moved to LA. Like when I decided to like actually pack my bags and come here. Like I thoroughly researched the hell out of LA. Like just like the city in general, expectations. Like I set realistic expectations and stuff for myself. But yeah, like so I did all that as well for this course in Florida. And then she was like, okay, but this is the last straw. Like if this does not work out for you, then you're coming back home and you're doing everything I say. Like you're doing it exactly how I say it. I'm like, deal, hell yeah. So within a couple months, we were down in Florida looking at apartments. And so I just lived in Orlando for close to a year, 9 months, 10 months, in a class which was like, I'm glad I got to do it, and I'm glad. I wouldn't say it was like the greatest education by any means. It was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think we had class for like 5 or 6 hours a day for like 9 months, and that's supposed to teach you all about filmmaking or whatever. It's just like not enough time.
What's the
to do
school
that.
called?
It's called the First School, Florida Institute of Recording Sound and Technology.
Oh.
They really like tried to make First School work. I feel like they reverse engineered that. But
Yeah, they're like, yeah.
they were like, okay, we
Like,
want
what?
to call it
Okay,
First
what's
School.
the F for? Florida.
Done. But it was like 6 of us in this class, and like when I tell you that the like all nice people, and we had good memories and stuff, but like some of the, like there was one kid who, you know how you get emails from like Nigerian princes for
Yeah.
like money
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. This guy fell for that.
Oh no.
And he comes into class one day, and he's on the phone. He's super Italian. He comes on the phone, comes in on the phone, and he's like yelling at this guy on the phone, like swearing at him. And he's like, "You fucked up, man. You fucked up. You don't know who you're dealing with." And he's like, "You know who my grandfather is?" Blah blah blah. And like,
Oh, he's that type of Italian. I thought you meant like
No,
Italian, you know, like speaking
no,
Italian.
like the
to him.
family kind of Italian kind of thing. So, but like couldn't have been that like influential of a family. But he's like, "You know who my grandfather is?" Blah blah blah.
And the
"I'll sue
Nigerian
you.
prince is like,
I'll
"No."
I'll come for everything you got. I'm gonna break your fucking.
Yeah, I like
knees
how
and stuff."
casual you guys made a Nigerian prince coming to ask you for money. Like, no, that hasn't happened to me once ever.
Wait, what?
It's like
No,
a
they
famous
always.
fan thing.
Yeah. And now I'm getting Egyptians.
Oh,
Egypt
wow.
calls me all the time.
This does not
Hold
happen
on,
to
Hello?
me.
I gotta take this. This is Egypt.
Sorry, Egypt's calling. I'm like, hello.
Oh boy. So and then he hung up the phone. I was like, "Dude, your money is gone. Like you're not getting that back.
Yeah.
What did you think?"
What do you think he's gonna be like? Sorry. Yeah. Let me just wire
And
it
then
back.
there was another kid who didn't know how to get back to his own house unless he was taking the bus home. Because I tried to give him a ride back home, and I was just like, "All right, man, so where do you live?" And he's like,
Follow this bus.
"I don't know." And I was like, "What do you mean you don't know?" And he's like, "Yeah, I usually just take the bus and fall asleep and then get off like at my stop and then walk home." And I was like, "You need to know how to get home, man."
So these were the types of people that you were studying alongside.
Yes.
Like
This is
really
who you left
just
Pitt to be with.
Yes.
First.
And so I had to sort of grind and teach myself a whole lot in addition. So like when I wasn't in class, I was watching movies, I was watching YouTube interviews of like actors and directors and stuff like that. I was reading books. I bought so many books on filmmaking. I wrote a script. I wrote a feature-length script. with my
Wow,
best
Cool.
friend
that's
at
a
the
big
time.
deal.
So like, yeah, in the 9 months that we were down there, I mean, looking back, is it like a great script? No, it's a fucking
But
terrible.
also, this
but
is
just,
everything
like,
to
doing
be.
it, yeah,
Right.
just doing the thing is crazy.
Right.
Like, for,
Yeah.
like,
It doesn't
just
matter
right
how
now.
bad or how good that school is. You literally left Pitt to go and pursue your dreams,
Right.
which is still
And
really
in some
cool.
ways, it sounds better, honestly, because you had to figure out things for yourself. Like,
Right.
it made you take initiative and it made you take control over your
Right.
own life.
Yeah, and like honestly, I felt like taking control of my own life. I felt totally in control of my own life for the first time in such a long time. And I was living in like by myself in this apartment, like very plainly and very probably not the most ideal situation for one person to be living in, but it was 1,000% about the work at that time.
Yeah.
So I was like literally just working, and like I had designs I had figured out that I wanted to become a writer and director in movies, write and direct movies, because I was always a little what's the word, like self-conscious about my looks and stuff like that. So I was like, I did the hosting thing, but like I don't think I could be in front of a camera. So if I can't be in front of a camera, I'll do writing and directing. So I learned all about screenwriting, about Save the Cat, about like all these different books, Robert McKee story and all that stuff. Read them all, watched interview after interview with, like, I identified who my like quote unquote like North Stars were in the business.
So who were they?
I have a couple. George Clooney, Robin Williams, Tom Hanks, Denzel, Tom Cruise, Spielberg. There's a couple.
Wow.
But like.
Do you think you could tell us why Tom Cruise? Just out of curiosity.
Not for.
Was it after Maverick?
No,
Is it after he jumped on Oprah's couch?
It like Tom Cruise was definitely a more recent one, but it's like there's a lot of baggage with Tom Cruise, and I'm
Not the Scientology.
I am talking about when people who work with him talk about working with him.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Like I want people to talk about working with me like that.
Yeah. No, even watching the Golden Globes and them talking briefly about him was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, like I watched this behind the scenes thing for Mission Impossible 7 or whichever one's coming out next, and he's like on a motorcycle and he jumps off a ramp off a cliff and then into like a parachute thing, and he like trained for like a year and a half, and like the way they talk about him, he's like Tom Cruise is like so laser focused. He's done this thing like he does this thing like 100 times like on his own. Like he did it 6 times in one day, and it's just like I want like when I thought about those North Stars, like I'm like trying to figure out their process and stuff, but also I'm trying to figure out how other people perceive them like while working on set with them. You know,
Yeah.
so like so that's kind of like Robin Williams is a joy to be with on set. Clooney's also, Tom Hanks also. So like that, like I want to make sure that like the people I look up to are the people that work with them love working with them. So that's all I want to.
How did you get over the hang up of feeling like insecure about your looks, insecure about like your stage presence on film, to feel like, okay, I feel confident enough to pursue a career as a comedian and an actor?
When I first moved to LA, like again, like writing and directing, I joined an improv class when I first moved to LA, and it went really well.
Was it when you first moved to LA?
Was it the Groundlings?
LA Connection Comedy Theater.
You said this twice, so I just wanted to say it again.
Sorry. Nice catch. But my classmates in that group, like I still have friends from that group, and that was like 7 years ago now. But my classmates in that group got me into, they were like, you should try acting. Like, I was like, nah. Like, I literally only joined improv because I wanted to keep performing like that thing alive in me, that burning desire to do that alive. And I didn't really see anything coming of it. But then my friend was like, you should like audition for like agents and stuff. You should like do acting. And my other friend was like, you should come with me and do stand-up we should go to an open mic together. And we did, and like the rest is history. It's been a happy accident.
Okay, so comedy, you kind of just fell into comedy.
Yeah, comedy and acting, yeah. I moved out here, the person that convinced me to move out here was my former writing partner. And we were like writing a script together. So that's like 2 features that I had gotten done before I even came to LA. But so I was doing that with him, and I was learning all about the production side of stuff and the development side of stuff and screenwriting and whatnot. And then but I think that was super valuable in being an actor and like becoming an actor and stuff. I feel like having that extra perspective definitely helps when I'm on set talking to like different departments and stuff like that. But yeah, I just lucked into it. And when I started doing stand-up, one of my best friends out here, Hannah, shout out Hannah. I don't know, she's probably not watching this. We also have a very...
She might watch it. You don't
Yeah,
know.
you never
we also
know.
have a very antagonistic relationship.
She's
too.
like, whatever you do, fuck that. I am
She's
not.
like, oh, you're on that podcast? Let me throw my computer away. But she's the best. She got onto a show at Flappers in Burbank, and it was like, the show was called The Friend Zone Show. And the concept of the show was like a comedian that's been on the show before comes on, they get 7 minutes, they bring a friend of theirs that is interested in getting into stand-up, they bring that friend gets on the lineup and gets 3 minutes. So that was my first show, she was just like, you want to come do this with me? And I was like, yeah. And then like I did that, I had a good show, and then like somebody was on that same show.
Your first show was a good show?
Was a good show.
That's
yeah.
that's actually really crazy, because in stand-up,
well, not my first open mic, but my first show. Yeah, and then somebody that was on that lineup with me, like he also ran a show and he liked my set and he was like, hey, like, would you want to come do my show? And then through that, I just like started doing shows. Like I like got spoiled, like where I was doing shows more often than I was doing mics when I started out, because that's just like how the cookie crumbled, I guess. But yeah, I just like went on one show and then got invited to do another one, kind of thing, pretty early on. So yeah, and then honestly, like it is the greatest feeling in the world to do stand-up comedy. I think like it will always be a part of my life. During the pandemic, I was like really feeling low, and I was just like, and like stand-up wasn't happening obviously because no one was going anywhere, and so I was like, it was so dramatic. I was like, I'm quitting comedy. I'm quit being a stand-up comedian. I like was on a Zoom call with friends of mine from Pitt, and I was like telling them like, yeah, I think I'm quitting stand-up comedy. Like when you talk about me to like other people and stuff, like don't refer to me as a comedian. I'm an actor.
Whoa, that was
like,
really dramatic.
Very dramatic. And like my friends like like it was like dead silence. And two of my friends were just like, wow.
Like, do we applaud that?
Like, I don't know what to do now. But then, so I thought that because like it was the pandemic, was comedy coming back? I don't know what was it gonna look like when it came back. Also, like I was like stuck in an apartment with like two of my roommates who I love to death, and they're the best. But eventually, I was thinking like, are they actually laughing at my jokes, or are these just like pity laughs to humble me and like shut me up kind of thing? So so I started getting all sorts of insecure and stuff about that, and that lasted like 4 months. And then like I think like like a couple months later, I was like showering, and then like fucking brain blast hit me while I was showering, and I ran out of my bathroom, like still soaking wet, completely naked, ran out to my computer and typed up a whole bit, stand-up bit. And
Wow.
I was like, and I was so jacked. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm back, baby. Like texted some friends. I was like, just wrote my first stand-up bit. It was like my first new stand-up bit in like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, I am fucking back. I'm fucking. That was another reason why I left, or why I quit, was because I thought, am I done? Like I don't have any other things
I want to hear
talk
this
about.
bit.
You will.
Okay,
Eventually.
great. I'm so excited.
And it's funny too, that same bit that brought me back to it, I've done it once since writing it. Like I've done countless other ones way more than
But
I've
it was
done
just
that
enough
one.
to reignite that love
Exactly. That's
for
exactly
comedy.
what it was. And
yeah.
it was like, yeah, I think the pandemic was like, you need to take a break. There was like certain types of material that I was doing before the pandemic that after the pandemic, I was just like, you know, you need to go beyond this kind of storytelling, this kind of material. So I think I did need like a 1.5 year, 2 year reset to kind of have a new voice emerge and kind of dig deeper. And there was no better time to dig deeper than the pandemic. So, but yeah, I think, and the pandemic was actually when I had the like biggest epiphany. Like I feel like I came out stronger out of the pandemic.
Well, do you think you could have to say your worst joke?
Yeah, can you actually tell us?
Okay.
Can you
okay,
tell
just
us
tell
your,
us. Yeah,
yeah,
tell us
your worst joke.
The worst joke like I've done on stage?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the one that like didn't land. People were just dead silent.
Okay, so it was one of my first ever shows that I did. Sorry. It was the first time my brother had come out to visit me after he came out to help me move in, but I was like living out of a suitcase, so there wasn't really much to do with that. But the second time he came out, I did a show, and it was the first time he ever saw me do a show live. And I bombed so hard because I did a joke. It was a very racy joke. That's my like MO though. Like I'm like trying to make people uncomfortable on stage. So if I don't get laughs, sometimes I enjoy that too because it means like I'm accomplishing what I wanted to do. But this was like not intended, and it was like I don't remember the specific joke, but it was like talking about I don't know, like it was definitely a racial joke, and like comedians in the audience got like I said the joke, and some comedians in the audience got offended or whatever. And it was like a older crowd of comedian, so they were really just busting my balls, but I was so new that I didn't really know at the time. So they just started heckling me in the middle of my set and like calling me out, and it was deserved. It wasn't that great of a joke. And like my brother is the only non-comedian there in the room.
Oh.
Like it is like a room full of just comedians and my brother and me, and he is sitting there quietly while like everybody else is like joining in. And then I'm like melting on stage, and I was like, you know what? That's my time. And like I wanted to cut it off and finish it. I was like 3 minutes into a 5-minute set, and I wanted to cut it off and finish it. And they were like, no, finish your set. So I tried to pivot to like a shorter bit or whatever, and just like landed with a fucking thud. Just like no one laughed at anything. And it was so bad that one of the other comedians on the show, who I'm still friends with now to this day, and he's one of the nicest dudes ever, he came up to me and he's like, that joke you were telling, I know what you were trying to say, and it's really funny what you're trying to say, but you just said it wrong. You just wrote it wrong. And so he fixed it for me. Like he worked on it with me side stage, like right after my set. And he was like, this is how you do it. And we like reassembled the words and like restructured it off stage, and it's killed after that.
That's so nice of him.
So nice.
I love people helping people in the same industry. It makes me so happy.
Grayson, Grayus. But I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could. So like, you're supposed to watch the comedian after you. That's like the rule of stand-up. So we watched the comedian after me, and then I was like, yo, Rom, let's go. Like, we're leaving. And then like completely silent.
Oh, so you didn't leave your brother there. You took him with you and left. You didn't just dash out. And he's like, dude, where
I was
are
his
you?
ride. But completely silent, walked to the car, and then we get in the car, complete silence in the car when we get in the car.
Oh no.
And then my brother just like does one of these things. He goes, well, Anand, that sucked.
Oh my God. I'm really glad that you can laugh about this now.
No, but because that is exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. Like, I'm the kind of person that, like, the kind of feedback that I like is honest feedback. Like, I don't, like, the worst thing he could have said getting into that car was, well, that wasn't so bad, was it? And I was like, yes, that was terrible. Were you in the same room as me? And so, like, for him to be like, well, that sucked, didn't it? And I was like, yeah, it did. Thank you.
It feels like you're really honest with yourself about, like, every curve that you've taken in your journey. You're always being, like, honest with this path is working, this thing isn't working, and this is not working, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm curious if, like, during the pandemic or while you were leaving Pitt to go to First, did you develop any, like, routine or healthy habits that you feel like you had to stick by, like, either before you did a show or, like, here are things that I always have to do in order to prepare myself?
Yeah, I wish I could say I had one, but I think, like, for me, it just depends on, like, my day-to-day is so different out here in LA, so it's really hard to, like, nail down one specific routine. Like, during the pandemic, I would, like, wake up, do, like, a quick skincare routine, and, like, brush my teeth, make myself some coffee, and, like, just go for a walk. Like, I would walk because I wasn't working and stuff, so I would walk for like miles and then come back, and kind of walks are a good way for me to like stoke my creativity a little bit. But honestly, there hasn't been a lot of healthy habits, probably. But that's just been a nature of, you know, the way I've lived and the way I've, the job that I have kind of thing. Like, I didn't have my name on a lease for an apartment until like 11 months into living out here. So like first 4 months I was living on my former writing partner's couch, living out of a suitcase, and then got kicked out of that spot because somebody was moving back, and I had
It's
to
like
move
the
out.
classic LA story.
It is a very, like, and then like I moved from there. I had a job down in Hollywood. I found a place that was literally across the street from my office.
Is this the place that when I first met you, you were living at?
I think was that the one room? Is that what you're talking about? No.
No.
So yeah.
Oh, this was a nice spot. Everyone had their own rooms, I think.
Yeah. So no. This was before I even met Ubby, or like before Ubby came out to LA. But I moved across the street from my office, and I lived in a studio apartment with 5 other guys.
Oh.
Wow.
Are these the same 5
for a
guys
month.
you live with? No.
No, these are 5 random people off of Craigslist.
Damn.
And like the landlord, aka the guy whose name was on the lease for the studio apartment, he rented out a storage locker down the road, and he had hung curtains in the room, and so our rooms were partitioned off by like curtains.
So it's like a hospital ward.
Yeah, and our beds were like a futon, like from IKEA, like a futon that I didn't.
How
even
much was
fit
your
on.
rent?
It's like $500.
That's expensive.
For
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
My God.
But like I needed a place like that. Like when I had to leave my former writing partner's place, I like slept in my car for like 2 days. And like I
wow.
slept Ubby had just moved to LA, and I like crashed with him like the first
But
night.
you knew him from Pitt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I crashed with him for one night, and his living situation wasn't that great. We'll get to that later. But then like while trying to find places, I would like crash at his place, crash it on my other friend Prachi's place, crash on her couch, slept in my car a couple times, and then moved into this shitty living situation with 5 other guys. Which, I mean, it was whatever. Like, our closet was like a cardboard box underneath the futon.
Wow.
My like legs hung off the futon, and then my parking garage for work was around the corner, so I would keep my suitcases in there, and I would go like every week, like exchange like clothes and stuff, and then like if I needed a shower, I would shower at like 24-hour Fitness.
Did your parents know about the situation?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I explained to my mom.
They were like, you could have been at Pitt and you could have been a mathematician.
I explained. All of this was pretty much like I told my mom it's going to be bad.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be.
She was
yeah.
very scared that first year, I think, for sure.
I mean, it is scary for your kid to be living out of his car.
Yeah.
It's so terrifying.
Yeah, and then a guy moved into that studio apartment who had the worst snoring problem I've ever heard in my life. And he's the guy that taught me how to use earplugs properly. Like, you don't just jam them in there. You have to like twist them and then put them in.
my God.
Let them like expand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I found that out real quick because like my start time for work was 10 a.m. and it was literally across the street, and I would still be late because I did not sleep the previous night because of this guy sleeping. And I remember walking out of my apartment, or the apartment at that time, and the landlord guy just like talking to this dude with the snoring problem. He's like, dude, you got to get that snoring problem checked, man. Like, people are moving out. Either I got to kick you out or you got to go see a doctor.
Oh my
or
God.
something. And I was like, and so I left, and then that's when I hit up Ubby, my now current roommate. He's the greatest. We go back. I've known him since he was like 8 years old, back in Pittsburgh.
And this is Sanj, our also mutual friend. That is her cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we all know each other. I know Sanj and he knows Abhi, so that's how it happened.
Yeah. And so he was living with his with a mutual friend in like one room in a house, like down in like mid city or whatever. And so like I was like, hey man, like I can't live in this place anymore. Can I just stay with you? They were like, yeah, sure. He said yes because we're friends, but also because like rent just went down because you added another person. Yeah. And so, Ubby and I split a pull-out couch from IKEA. We like slept on that together for 4 months.
How cute.
And then like the other guy slept on a inflatable inflatable mattress that had a hole in it. So like he would
it was a deflatable mattress.
Yeah, deflatable mattress is more like it. He would like inflate it at night, and then by the morning he would wake up on the ground. So we were there for like 4 months, and that was like a good bonding experience. And then like even then for like 2 or 3 years after that, we still like shared a room. Me and Ubby shared a room. Like it wasn't like comfortable. It wasn't like the lives that my friends were living on the East Coast or whatever. We
Yeah.
weren't even close
Oh,
to that.
yeah.
And so like, yeah, it was, but I told my mom, like I said, like I fully researched this whole entire thing. And like, I remember before I left Pittsburgh for LA, I was like, my uncle was driving me home from somewhere, and he was just like, so like, what's your plan? Do you have like a 5-year plan for being out there? You have to have a 5-year plan, and like realize at some point when it's not working or whatever. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to like?
It's an Indian thing. They want to know your 2-year plan, your
Yeah.
5-year plan, your
And,
10-year plan.
So I like laughed at him. He asked me what my 5-year plan was, and I laughed and I said, 5-year plan? No, it's more like a 15-year plan. You know, I didn't think. I thought it would. I figured this is a marathon, not a sprint. That's what in my research of LA. That's what literally every actor, every director says is like, you have to give it time. You have to like it takes time for everybody. So that's one of the things, and like that's like the epiphany that I had during the pandemic that really like accelerated my like mindset, I guess, is just like, because during the pandemic, I kind of felt like other people were moving. I felt like I was either like not moving at all or like going backwards, which is that's what LA does to you. It feels like if you're not going forwards at 1,000 miles per hour, then you're moving backwards.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
what it feels like. So I had that feeling come over me during the pandemic, and I was just like seeing people that I knew that were like, you know, going viral on like social media or like getting this new job, getting this cool gig or whatever, and like nothing really was happening to me. Whereas like it used to be like, I used to be like the person that people would want to talk to or whatever whenever we'd go places, but now like all these other people are eclipsing me or whatever. So I like kind of got down about that and thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? No, there's no point in like, for lack of a better term, like pissing contests. Like there's all these like pissing contests
You
that people
can't
want to have.
compare yourself to anyone else's
Yeah.
journey. But real quick, since we are out of time,
Oh,
real quick, the DM of the week, we do need to ask this. It asks, how do your family and friends feel now versus when you first started?
way more supportive.
Yeah.
Like, I think my friends were supportive from the jump, but like, you know, hesitant a little bit, you know, because it's like, you know, it's a ludicrous, audacious thing for me to have said that I'm going to LA to do this. It's a insane thing. So like, I understand them being like a little like toe in the water, like let's see how good this guy really is. My mom took a while to come around. I think I did a live like hour-long show in Pittsburgh in 2018, and that was the first time she ever saw me do stand-up. And I did a bunch of material that really opened her eyes. And like I did a bit called like the worst hand job I've ever gotten in front of my mom.
Oh, wow.
But she saw me do that, and she was very impressed, and she had a whale of a time. And I think after that, she's come around a lot more, and she's a lot more supportive. There was like and then my brother's also been super supportive from the beginning. There was a moment where I was up for a promotion at my old job at the time, and I was calling home to talk to my family about it and like get their advice on it or whatever. And my brother was like, "Wait, so how will like the new job like affect your acting and stand-up career?" And I like that like knocked me back a second. I like got emotional thinking about in the moment, thinking about like, wow, like this was never a question back in the day. They never asked about that. So, but yeah, now I'm like, I send my bits back to my family. I send like everything that we're working on, like send it all back to them. So yeah, now they're way more supportive. I don't think they really know too much about it still, but they watch all the stuff that I send.
And where can our listeners watch all of the stuff that you send?
Yeah, tell us where they can find you, your handles, all of that.
Yes, my online presence is Yananbai across everything. So my Instagram is @Yananbai, which is YANANDBHAI. It's like Anandbai means like brother, Anand. Bai is brother. So when I was a kid, they would like my friends would call me Anandbai. But then I went out to an event one time, and my friend was like, doing a really shitty Indian accent, and he called me Yananbai, and fucking stuck. It just became my entire
I know now
personality.
because that's your email now too. I was like, funny, okay.
It's my email,
So we're going with this.
it's my website, yananbai.com.
Cool.
So like everything, like if you type it in, if I'm not the first hit for Yananbai on Google,
You're doing something wrong.
I'm gonna sue somebody.
Yeah. Well, Anand, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
It's
you.
been
Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much. Thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
happy I got to see you. We will catch up and hang out.
Yes.
We'll
and
need a
roast
part
each
2 of
other.
this episode.
We
Oh,
definitely need a part 2 because we were just getting into the good
I feel
stuff.
like I feel like there's a lot. I've been through my fair share for sure. But
Yes,
yeah,
we'll have a part 2 for
Thank
sure.
you so much. I rarely get to talk about. I was talking about this with my friends. Like, I only get to talk about this when I'm like talking to somebody that I'm meeting for the first time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm only doing it in like one-on-one situations or one-on-group situations. So I never get to do it in like a forum like this. So it's nice.
Cool.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thank
Questions
you.
are so good. So.
Amazing.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Damsels in the DMs. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's really important for us to keep creating episodes like this one. And please continue to send us your DMs so that we can provide more questions for guests and let us know how you're feeling about the new season, the rebrand, and if there's a DM of the week that you have for any of our guests.
We're still doing our voice memos things that you can send us with a DM, a question, whatever you want. So we still have that, and we still have the anonymous type form that you can send us your questions onto.
All right, everybody. Well, it's been another episode of Damsels in the DMs.
Until next time.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.